Did you know that the stories of ancient Greek gods and heroes have shaped how we see the world today? You might think these myths are old tales, but they hold secrets about human nature, love, power, and even the universe. Most people don't realize this, but myths were once the main way ancient Greeks explained life, death, and everything. Without science to back up the unknown, they turned to powerful gods like Zeus, Athena, and Poseidon to make sense of it all. And the best part? These stories are still influencing us today. You might be surprised how many movies, books, and video games draw from Greek mythology. From the world of superheroes to fantasy stories, these ancient myths continue to inspire new generations. But here's something most people don't know. The lessons behind these myths go much deeper than just entertainment. They give us insights into bravery, love, revenge, and how humans have always dealt with the struggles of life. So, let's take a closer look at where Greek mythology comes from and why it's still so important today. Origins of Greek mythology. Where did Greek mythology come from? Well, it all started in ancient Greece, around 2,500 years ago. This was when Greek city-states like Athens, Sparta, and Corinth thrived. But here's the twist. Greek mythology didn't just pop up overnight. It was a mix of stories passed down through generations, some older than Greek. Before the Greeks, the Minoan and Mycenaean cultures played a huge role in shaping these myths. The Minoans, who lived on the island of Crete, were known for their art and powerful gods, like Poseidon. The Mycenaeans, who came after them, spread these ideas across the Greek mainland. Over time, these cultures blended their gods and heroes with the stories the Greeks already had, creating the rich mythology we know today. But here's the key. None of this was initially written down. Instead, it was shared through oral tradition. That means the stories were told aloud and passed from generation to generation. Imagine sitting around a campfire, listening to a storyteller weave tales about gods battling monsters or heroes embarking on dangerous quests. This method of storytelling kept the myths alive for centuries, long before they were ever written in books. This oral tradition wasn't just about entertainment. It was a way for the ancient Greeks to teach lessons, explain natural events, and keep their culture alive. Although these stories were told in different cities and villages, they all shared similar themes, which helped create the powerful foundation for Greek mythology as we know it today. The gods and their stories. When you think of Greek mythology, the first thing that comes to mind is the gods. The ancient Greeks had a whole pantheon of powerful, larger-than-life figures, each with their personality, stories, and roles in the world. Some gods were known for their wisdom, others for their power, and some for their unpredictability. Let's look at a few of the most famous gods and what they represent. First, there's Zeus, the king of the gods. He ruled the sky and was known for his strength and thunderbolts. Zeus wasn't just powerful, though. He was also deeply involved in the lives of mortals. His many love affairs and complicated relationships with other gods are part of what makes his character so interesting. Zeus is the god of order and justice, but he could also be vengeful when his authority was challenged. Then, there's Hera, Zeus's wife and queen of the gods. While Zeus represented power, Hera was known for protecting marriage and family. However, Hera's stories are often full of jealousy and revenge, especially because of Zeus's affairs. Her character shows the complexity of love and loyalty, and how even gods can be driven by emotion. Poseidon, Zeus's brother, is the god of the sea. His power over water and storms made him both feared and respected. Poseidon's story is filled with themes of control and territory, often linked to the dangers of the sea and the unpredictable nature of water. His character reminds us of nature's importance to the ancient Greeks, who lived close to the sea. Greek mythology contains powerful themes, such as creation, love, and war. Many of the gods' stories revolve around the creation of the world and humanity, explaining how everything came into being. Gods like Aphrodite, the goddess of love, represent the human desire for connection and passion. Meanwhile, gods like Ares, the god of war, show how conflict and battle were ever present in the minds of the ancient Greeks. These myths weren't just entertainment. They were a way for the Greeks to explain life's biggest questions. Where did the world come from? Why do people fight? What happens after death? Each god and their story helped the Greeks understand the world around them in a way that made sense to them at the time. Cultural significance. Greek mythology wasn't just a bunch of old stories to the ancient Greeks. It was deeply tied to their everyday lives. These myths weren't just entertaining tales. They helped shape the values and beliefs that guided Greek society. Whether it was the importance of honor, the struggle for power, or the consequences of disobedience, the gods and their stories reflected what the Greeks believed was right and wrong. One of the most significant ways that Greek myths shaped society was in their moral teachings. The gods often acted as examples to follow and warnings about what could happen if you didn't live according to Greek ideals. For example, the story of Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods to give to humans, is about sacrifice and rebellion. Prometheus was punished severely for his actions, but his story also showed the importance of innovation and helping others. On the other hand, the myth of Icarus warns against hubris, the dangerous overconfidence of thinking you can do anything without consequences. These stories gave the Greeks a way to understand how to live virtuously. Greek mythology also greatly influenced art, theater, and religion. In ancient Greece, myths were everywhere, portrayed in paintings, sculptures, and pottery. Famous works of art, like the Parthenon in Athens, are filled with scenes from mythological stories. The gods and heroes were not just figures of worship, but symbols of everything that mattered in Greek society. In the world of theater, mythology plays a central role. The ancient Greeks created the first plays, many of which were based on mythological stories. Tragedies like Oedipus Rex and Antigone still teach us about fate, morality, and family. These plays helped the Greeks understand complex emotions and situations. Through mythology, they explored themes of love, loss, and revenge in ways that still resonate with us. Religion, too, was built around these myths. The Greeks didn't just tell these stories for fun, they worshipped these gods. Temples, altars, and festivals were all dedicated to the gods, demonstrating their cultural importance. The myths were intertwined with everything the Greeks did, from daily rituals to public festivals. Mythology's evolution. Greek mythology didn't stay the same over time. It evolved in many ways, reflecting the changes in Greek society, culture, and thinking about the world. Early myths were simple and focused on explaining natural phenomena, like why the seasons change or how the stars appear in the sky. However, as Greek civilization grew, the stories became more complex, and their meanings changed. One of the main reasons for this evolution was the work of philosophers and poets like Homer and Hesiod. These figures helped shape and record Greek mythology, making it more structured and widely understood. Homer, one of the most famous poets of ancient Greece, is best known for writing the Iliad and the Odyssey. These epic poems took the gods and heroes of earlier myths and placed them in the context of a larger narrative about the human experience. The Iliad, for example, focuses on the Trojan War, showing how gods and mortals interact in the middle of a tragic conflict. Homer's stories gave Greek mythology depth and emotion, turning it from simple explanations of the world to powerful narratives about honor, loss, and fate. At the same time, Hesiod, another ancient poet, contributed his version of the gods' stories in his works like the Theogony and the Works and Days. Hesiod's focus was more on the creation of the world and the early days of the gods. His work helped bring a sense of order to the chaotic collection of myths, providing a clearer picture of the relationships between gods, mortals, and the natural world. The evolution of mythology also reflected changes in Greek society. As the Greeks became more interested in reason, philosophers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle started questioning the gods' roles in human life. Their thinking led to a shift in how the gods were viewed. Instead of being all-powerful beings controlling every aspect of life, they became more symbolic, representing different aspects of human nature and the universe. This shift allowed for a broader and more diverse interpretation of the myths. So, while the core stories of Greek mythology remained the same, their interpretation and the way they were shared continued to evolve, influencing generations of thinkers, writers, and artists. Greek mythology's impact. Today, Greek mythology may have originated thousands of years ago, but its impact is still felt today. From movies to books and even video games, the myths and legends of ancient Greece continue to shape pop culture. Many of the stories we love today have roots in the tales of gods, heroes, and monsters. Take movies, for example. Huge blockbusters like the Percy Jackson series or Wonder Woman are filled with references to Greek mythology. In Percy Jackson, the protagonist is the son of Poseidon, and the series is full of gods, monsters, and heroes from Greek mythology. Even the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, features gods like Thor, who is inspired by the Norse god, but shares many traits with his Greek counterparts. These movies bring ancient myths to life for a new generation, keeping them relevant and exciting. Books, too, continue to be deeply influenced by Greek mythology. Many authors, especially in fantasy, draw on ancient myths to create their worlds. For example, Madeline Miller's novel, Circe, takes a fresh look at the story of the witch goddess Circe, offering a modern, feminist interpretation of a classic myth. This shows how myths evolve and continue to inspire writers to explore timeless themes like power, transformation, and revenge. The influence of Greek mythology also extends to art. Throughout history, artists have turned to these myths for inspiration. Ancient sculptures like Venus de Milo or the Laocoon group are directly linked to mythological themes. Even today, artists and sculptors continue to reinterpret mythological stories in modern mediums, from paintings to graphic novels. It's incredible how these ancient stories still speak to us. Themes of love, betrayal, ambition, and vengeance are timeless, and they continue to shape not only literature and art, but also how we think about ourselves and the world around us. Conclusion. So, where did Greek mythology come from? It began in ancient Greece, shaped by the stories of gods, heroes, and creatures passed down through oral traditions. These myths evolved and were influenced by poets like Homer and Hesiod, who gave structure and meaning to the chaotic tales. Greek mythology wasn't just for entertainment, it shaped society, values, and how Greeks saw the world. What's amazing is that these ancient stories still matter today. They influence everything from movies and books to art and theater. The gods and heroes of Greek mythology continue to inspire us, because the themes of love, revenge, power, and fate are still relevant. If you're fascinated by these ancient tales, I encourage you to explore them further. Learn about the myths, the gods, and how their stories still resonate today. There's always more to discover. If you enjoyed learning about Greek mythology, please like this video and subscribe for more content. I'd love to hear your thoughts. So comment below with your favorite Greek myth. Share it with friends who are just as fascinated by these ancient stories. See you in the next video.